Hello, I'm Chris from TechSpert, and today we're checking out the Boox Tab Ultra C from Onyx. Imagine if a laptop, a Kindle and an iPad had a weird twisted orgy and then somehow also produced an offspring. This would be it. The specs are very similar to the original Boox Tab Ultra, but now you've got a full color upgraded display. And as for the pricing, well, that's basically the same as before, $599 bills or 649 euros. So it sure ain't cheap, and then if you want the keyboard dock, that's going to cost you extra as well. But anyway, let's whip it out the box, take you on a full-on tour and check out everything you need to know about the Boox Tab Ultra C. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do plug, subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So first up, what's in the box? Or should I say, what's in the Boox? Chortle, chortle. Well, you've got yourself a Boox Tab Ultra C. You've got a Type-C USB cable. You've got yourself a Stylus Pen. And also a porky pin to get the memory card slot open. And that's everything chucked in the box, so just bear in mind that you don't get a power adapter thrown in there, which to be fair is pretty standard these days. Now I really like Onyx's design. These Boox devices look really rather ruddy lush. And the Boox Tab Ultra C, no different at all. You've got an aluminium frame here. Certainly feels solid, nice premium finish as you would expect at this sort of price point. The Boox Tab Ultra C, nice and skinny as well, and weighs just 480 grams. So I'll be quite happy casually clutching this thing for an hour or two, reading a magazine or a book, preferably poolside with a nice tall glass of something boozy. And as you can see, pretty skinny bezels surrounding that display as well, apart from down one side where you've got quite a wide margin, so you can comfortably clutch the Tab Ultra C without stressing about your thumb intruding on the display. Over on the arse end, it is a matte finish, but unfortunately it does still get a little bit smudgy when you are fondling this thing, so you'll have to buff it up occasionally, keep it looking smart. And I do like the pattern strip running across one length as well, adds a bit of funky design, bit of flair. The only thing I don't really like is this jutty out camera bit, because not only does it look a bit naff, but it also means that when the Boox Tab Ultra C is just sat there on a desk or a table or whatever, it does wobble a bit when you push that screen. Buttons and everything are pretty straightforward. You've got a power button up top here. Not much else to speak of other than the Type-C USB charging port down below, right next to that memory card slot. Now, if you've ever used a Boox device in the past, you'll know exactly what to expect from the UI. You've actually, believe it or not, got full Android running on this thing, although if you dive on into the settings, you will see that somewhat tragically, it is old Android version 11. Ugh. So certainly in terms of security updating and everything, this thing's going to be lagging behind. Still, the actual UI itself is intuitive enough and pretty easy to get on with. And now that you've got little splashes of colour here and there for the icons and the rest, looks better than ever as well, although still pretty bare. There's these big old gaps in between the rows, for instance. Fairly typical Android style layout though. You've got various widgets, such as for instance the library widget, which takes you straight to all of the books, documents, etc. you've downloaded. All the rest of your apps will cluster here on the desktops as well. If we swipe back this way, you've basically just got a bunch of widgets. Quick launch into your favourite apps, your memos and notes. So you can completely customize this page if you want, simply by tapping this little plus button up in the top right corner. So yeah, it is quite a simple setup compared with regular Android, but it'll definitely do the job. You've got a small variety of apps pre-installed, such as for instance the Boox Reader. You've got a web browser, dictionary, etc. And you do of course have full access to the Play Store, as this is an Android device. So yes, you can download games, apps, whatever you fancy on this thing. And I've got to say, the Google Play Store and your apps in general look so much better with those splashes of colour on there rather than just the old monochrome displays of previous Booxes. Ditto when you jump on into that web browser as well. This really helps to bring those visual elements to life, and the actual scrolling around through websites and apps as well is pretty smooth. It's not as juddery as it is on some other e-paper devices. You can actually set the refresh mode for each individual app. So for instance, something like the Kindle app, where you're just going to be reading, very occasionally refreshing the page. You'll want it on HD mode. The likes of web browsing, you'll definitely want to bump that up to at the very least fast mode, if not ultra fast mode. And then for stuff like games and video streaming, you will definitely want it on that ultra fast. Of course, the Boox Tab Ultra C isn't exactly the most ideal way to take in a video on the go. Not even with the snazzy new colour display, so let's just check out one of my own. To spunk a ridiculous amount of cash on the latest Samsung or Apple flagship smartphone, but before you do, don't! I will certainly admit that considering it's got an e-paper display, the Boox Tab Ultra C does keep up remarkably well. You've got a respectable enough frame rate when you are kicking back with a bit of video on the YouTubes or whatever else, but of course there's all kinds of visual distortion, there's ghosting on the go. So yeah, you'd have to be kind of desperate to actually sit down and watch a TV show or something on this thing. What about gaming though? Let's actually give that a go, see how the Tab Ultra C handles a bit of match 3 action. And yeah, you know what, the Tab Ultra C can handle it, absolutely no issues whatsoever. The Qualcomm processor can just about keep up with some match 3 action. The display refresh absolutely fine on that ultra fast level. Responsiveness and everything, no issues either. You will find occasionally you've got a bit of ghost in here on the display as well. As you can see, there's still a bit of that match 3 game lingering in the background there, but at any point you can just drag down the control center like so. You swipe this way, we'll do a full refresh, and that will help to clear any crap that's lingering in the background. One of the best things about the Boox devices is they support a wide range of files, so it doesn't matter what you're downloading, CBZs, EPUBs, PDFs, the Tab Ultra C will handle the lot. Oh, and you've got plenty of space to download loads of apps and documents as well. 128 gigs packed on the Tab Ultra C, and that is expandable via micro SD. Now, one of the highlights, certainly here on the Boox Tab Ultra C, as you'd imagine, is that full color e-ink display. It's a 10.3 inch 2480 by 1860 resolution. When you're displaying monochrome images, color visuals are displayed in 1240 by 930 resolution, half the resolution of the monochrome. But as you can see, they're still perfectly crisp. You've got a lovely anti-glare matte finish to this display as well, and full front lighting, which you can tweak by, again, pulling down that control center. And on that maxed out setting, I had absolutely no issues whatsoever reading books, magazines, websites, whatever, even when the sun was shining on this thing. I'm currently aiming the Tab Ultra C right at my studio spotlight, and as you can see, barely even makes an impact on the thing. And if you are enjoying a book in the evenings, for instance, you can also bump up the color temperature as well, make it nice and warm. And certainly if you're a massive comic book fan, graphic novels, that sort of thing, this is one of the best ways you can possibly kick back with your collection. The visuals are crisp and detailed, but also nice and poppy as well. And it's just easier on the eye, just much more comfortable reading experience than what you would get if you're reading on an iPad or some other tablet. And that's especially true if you are reading outdoors as well, thanks to the fact that you've got that anti-glare finish and everything. If you want to listen to an audiobook or watch a video, well, you've actually got a stereo speaker setup here. Plus Nord 2T is powered by MediaTek's Bicep Flex and Dimensity 1300 chipset, which can absolutely blaze its way through any Android game out there. I've got to say, those speakers aren't particularly loud, certainly compared with a tablet like an iPad or something like that. You're going to be struggling to hear what's going on if you're in a more noisy environment, but it's absolutely fine if you're just chilling at home without any kids running around screeching or anything like that. Sadly, no headphone jack here, but you do have full Bluetooth support, so you can hook up a pair of Bluetooth headphones or speakers or whatever if you do need a bit of an audio boost. Now, I briefly mentioned that the brains of the operation here on the Onyx Boox Tab Ultra C is an unnamed Qualcomm effort. It's probably the slightly creaky Snapdragon 662, which also powered the original Tab Ultra. Thankfully, it seems to do the job just fine. Apps load up reasonably quickly with little fuss. You can stream video, play games, whatever you fancy. Of course, don't try playing anything like Genshin Impact on this thing, because it will just fall right on its arse. And Onyx has kindly stuffed its Pen 2 Pro stylus in the box with the Tab Ultra C. Not massively generous, I guess, because you have already spunked up $600. So that's of course great news if you like to do a bit of creative sketching in your spare time, or just simply marking up documents and the like. As you can see, my creative abilities are about as good as my video production abilities, but hey, at least it's better than a bloody stick man. And while you don't quite get that granular paper sort of a feel when you are sketching with a stylus, it's really not bad. It doesn't feel as skiddy as when you're sketching on an iPad, for instance. And when you're done with your bit of sketching or whatever, you can just slap the stylus on the side of the Tab Ultra C like so. Held in position by pretty strong magnets. You have to give it a good old flick to get it to fall off. And if you've got a bit of spare cash on the go, you can always grab yourself a Boox Tab Ultra keyboard cover. That's certainly handy if you're going to be using the Tab Ultra C to bang out emails, essays, things like that. There's bugger all backlighting on this Boox keyboard, unfortunately, so no good for your low light working, evenings, things like that. But you've got a proper tactile feel from those buttons. So yeah, definitely a good one if you plan to be doing a bit of work on this device. As for battery life, well, as long as you're not dicking around streaming video or playing games on this thing all day long, a full charge will happily last you even a long, arduous day. We're talking many, many hours of screen on time, because of course that e-ink display rarely refreshes if you are just, browsing documents, reading a book, reading a magazine, whatever else. It's once again a 6,300 milliamp hour capacity cell stuffed inside of this thing, just like the original Tab Ultra, and I haven't noticed any faster draining of that battery despite the fact that it is now a upgraded colour display. And that, my lovelies, in a wonderful wee nutshell, is the fresh new Onyx Boox Tab Ultra C. And I gotta say, the sky-high price tag and the fact that it's old Android aside, I do really enjoy using this thing for, you know, reading comic books, graphic novels, even banging out emails and stuff is absolutely fine as long as you've got that keyboard dock. But yes, that asking price is likely to be a sticking point for some, probably many actually, especially when you consider you can get a really shit-hot Android tablet with the latest, freshest Android for that sort of price point. But anyway, that's what I reckon. What do you guys think about the Onyx Boox Tab Ultra C? Be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. And have yourselves a really wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone. Love you.